Huh? Laura. Were you here? Well, yes. I moved in a week ago and have been living in this house. I'll take the bedroom on the second floor that you were using. So you can use the storeroom on the first floor or the unused room on the third floor. What? I haven't heard anything about this. What do you mean? The main supporter of this house has given his permission. So there's no need to get your approval. The person who pays the rent decides everything. Huh? I had to ask again, but I'm not seeing things, right? Why is my mother-in-law living in this house? I don't understand. It was stressful enough that she came to visit every week, but living together is unthinkable. Sure, my mother-in-law lives alone, and she is of a certain age. Something might happen, and perhaps my husband is worried. But it's unbelievable that she would start living together without discussing it with me first. Who does she think this house belongs to? I wanted to say. And my husband too. How dare he agree with her? I couldn't forgive such selfish behavior. Hello. When I got home, your mother was here. What do you mean we're living together? What do I mean? It's exactly as it sounds. There's nothing strange about it, right? It's strange. Why didn't you consult with me? There's no need to consult with you. I've told you many times, but I'm the one paying the rent here. You should follow my decisions, right? I was so astonished that I couldn't find the words. So? He's really saying that. Understood. Then keep saying that. He seems to forget something important, though. Does he even realize whose house we are renting from? I won't let him forget only the inconvenient things for him. I took the suitcase I had brought on a business trip and went back to my parents' house. My name is Jenny, I'm 32 years old. I currently work at an IT company as an engineer, which provides a decent income and a fulfilling job, allowing me to enjoy every day. Thank you for your hard work. Huh? Are you leaving already? We were going to go out for drinks today. Do you want to join us? I have plans today. Could you invite me again next time? Is it a guy? Well, yes. Work was fun, and I had a boyfriend I've been dating for 6 months. My private life was also fulfilling, making every day truly wonderful. And I had no complaints about my life. You must be busy now, right? Thank you for making time for me. It's totally fine. Of course, I'd make time for the person I love. Thanks. The current boyfriend I met through a friend's introduction has been a genuinely caring person. I attended a science university, so my student life was extremely busy. Far removed from any romantic relationships. Even after starting my job, there was so much to learn every day. And I was so busy that I never really had a boyfriend. But before I finished my 20s, I got a boyfriend. And it looked like we were heading towards marriage. Life felt perfect. I was truly enjoying every day from the bottom of my heart. It's about the future. Are you talking about marriage? Yes. I've been thinking about meeting your parents too. Of course. Once I've sorted out my work, I'll propose. Can you wait a little longer? Yes. It was a bit pushy, but I was looking forward to getting married and becoming happy. I could clearly see such a future and think I spent every day grinning. In about 6 months, we got married. My parents paid for the wedding, and they provided us with a new home. My parents run a company and offered us one of their investment properties to live in. He wanted to send money home to his single mother, and in that regard, my parents were cooperative. About the rent, are they letting us live here for free? No, they said $2,000, which is a special price. Normally, the rent would be much more than that. What? They're charging us? even though it's their daughter and her husband living there. I'm surprised. Well, it's an investment property, so there are costs. My parents aren't really making a profit from it. I can't ask them to pay the maintenance costs either. But they have the money, so I think they could do that much for us. I was surprised by my husband's remark. Indeed, my parents are financially comfortable because they run a company. However, I'm already independent and can take care of my own life. It wouldn't be a big deal for my parents to let us live there for free. But it's wrong to rely entirely on them for money just because I'm not a child anymore. My parents are business owners, so they are strict about money matters. And I work to support my own life. Well, we get to live in such a big house. They said they would transfer the ownership to us in the future. It's a bit too much to ask to live here without paying anything at all. They're being quite stingy, aren't they? As business owners making good money, I think they could afford to do this for us. Well, if I were in your parents' shoes, I'd let you live in the house for free. But I've explained it so many times. Why don't you understand? I wanted to say that, but I suppose for my husband, who expected to live in a big house for free, paying $2,000 every month must feel like a huge burden. Well, it's cheeky to expect to live for free just because it's my parents' property. Then, can't you lower it to about $1,500? What? Lower it further? I've already told you it's usually double that amount. Even so, you could lower it a bit, right? Come on, they're your parents, you should be able to negotiate that much. What are you saying? It's disrespectful to do that just because they're my parents. If you had any gratitude, you wouldn't even think of negotiating a lower price. Really? Are you not grateful even when they've made it so cheap? Besides, they've said you can move out anytime you want. If you decide to stay permanently, they'll even transfer the ownership to us. They're being so cooperative. I just couldn't understand what my husband was saying. How can he so brazenly make such demands? He must really only be thinking of himself. So, it seems like he was expecting it to be free. That's why he thinks even $2,000 is expensive. I see. Well, $2,000 is already pushing it. The lowest we can go is $1,800. No, you don't need to lower it any further. Just show him that we've come down this far, maybe he'll understand then. Besides, with that $200 difference, maybe he can help out his mother more. He comes from a single mother family, right? Yes. Well, we're fine here, and since you're newlyweds, you'll have various expenses coming up, so don't worry. Just focus on your marital relationship. Thanks to my father's kindness, I was able to speak firmly to my husband. And he finally agreed to the rent of $1,800. After that, we lived without many problems. And we agreed that he would pay the rent while I covered other living expenses. We also bought a car for family use, and since the payments came from my money, my husband had more disposable income. But I didn't have a habit of spending much, and generally, we had a good relationship. My mom will be here in about 30 minutes, so hurry up and finish the cleaning. What? What? You're not going to clean even though my mom is coming? No, it's not that, but why didn't you tell me sooner? It's hard to manage when you tell me this all of a sudden. It's not that I have a problem with my mother-in-law coming over. But why didn't he tell me sooner? If he had, I would have cleaned the house earlier and finished the chores. And now there's no coffee either. He probably didn't think about it because it's his mother. But I'm the one who gets looked at strangely. Why can't he think about that? I sighed, but it's too late to think about that now. I'll hurry and start cleaning now, so help me. What? It's bothersome, just do it yourself. I finally have a day off, let me rest. No, but your mom is coming soon, isn't she? You should be able to do it. I've been busy lately, you know. No. What? What is he saying? I told him to help clean because his mother is coming. And he doesn't want to help at all? I was already irritated by this sudden conversation. And to be told such selfish things was almost too much. I just want to finish the cleaning quickly. No, are you saying I should do it all? That's not fair. No, you're the wife, you should be able to handle it. Why do I always have to tell you? Don't forget that I'm the one taking care of you. Taking care of me? What does he think he is? I don't feel like he's taking care of me at all. Sure, he pays the rent, but I'm the one who covers the living expenses. Considering the expenses, I'm actually paying more. So I don't understand why he talks down to me like this. But arguing about this now would just be a waste of time. What I need to do is clean as much as I can, right now. Seeing my husband lounging on the sofa watching TV while I frantically cleaned was infuriating. But I managed to get the cleaning done before my mother-in-law arrived. Hi, Jenny. It's been a while. How have you been? Is everything okay? I'm not so old that you need to worry about me. Sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Oh, really? No. Is she thinking that I'm being sarcastic? Well, this isn't the first time I've seen this side of her. I suppose she's protective of her son because they're from a single mother family. But her affection seems a bit excessive. When we went to greet her for the marriage, she looked at me as if she were looking down on a woman who was marrying into money. And it seemed like she didn't want to build a good relationship with me. Not that I particularly want to be close to her. But it's not like I've done anything to warrant such blatant dislike. I haven't done anything unpleasant to my mother-in-law. Nor have I done anything unreasonable. What exactly does she dislike about me? Well, my husband also says unreasonable things to me. So I guess it's to be expected from his mother. I've been trying to accept that. You know, I've been thinking, aren't your chores a bit half done? It's not like this place is a dump, but it could be cleaner, don't you think? Yes, I guess. I do try my best, but I also have a full-time job, so I don't have much time. I was a single mother too, but I managed to keep my place clean. You don't need to make excuses. No, I'm not making excuses. I've been really busy lately, and I often have to finish my work at home. If there's an error in the system I'm developing, I need to fix it by the deadline. If I don't, it could lead to serious problems. I wish she wouldn't complain when she doesn't understand anything about my job. And if I may say, she and her son lived on welfare. She doesn't work, so her situation isn't much different from being a housewife. Even though she was a single mother, she had the time to do chores. It's wrong to compare her situation to mine. Besides, we both work. So why doesn't she criticize her son who doesn't do anything besides his job? I didn't intend to argue with my mother-in-law. But getting criticized right when she visits really irked me. Isn't it unnecessary to say things like that? Besides, I'm the only one doing the chores around here, which is tough. That might have sounded a bit sarcastic. But I think she won't understand unless I say it like that. What? Are you actually expecting your husband to do chores? I'd like him to, but the reality is that he doesn't help. You're the wife, so it's only natural for you to handle the chores. I heard that your husband pays the rent. Then, of course, you should be doing the chores. Who do you think is the head of this household? You shouldn't even be married if you don't understand these basic things. That's why I was against your marriage. What? I was so dumbfounded I couldn't speak. Is she serious? This needs to stop. It's ridiculous for her to interfere in someone else's household like this. Talking to such a person is a waste of time and energy. I just nodded along and showed her into the living room.
Ah,
How about we have sushi today? There's this place called Sushi House in the mall. Oh. That sounds great. Let's treat ourselves for once. Jenny? We'll wait here at home, so could you go buy sushi for everyone? Oh, and add some sea urchin and fatty tuna for me. Again, I'm being used. And either of them even pretends to reach for their wallets. They expect me to pay. I can already see the complaints coming if I ask for money now. But I was actually looking forward to going out for a breath of fresh air. So this gives me a good excuse. It's infuriating to treat them to high-end sushi, but it's not worth dwelling on. With that thought, I headed to the sushi place in the mall. After buying the sushi and returning home. You took quite a while. I wish you would consider that people are waiting. Sigh. Not even a thank you for buying it. She's like a complaint machine. She's so good at finding faults in others, it's almost admirable. I thought about responding sarcastically, but I held back my feelings and just sat down. We spent the rest of the afternoon idling around, and they went out to eat in the evening. I wasn't invited, but really, they are so rude. When they returned, they drank in the living room, and my mother-in-law ended up staying over. Though we had separate bedrooms, so it wasn't too problematic. I was still astounded by their lack of common sense. She left the next day, but it ruined my weekend and left me quite stressed. Since then, my mother-in-law began visiting almost every week. I don't know if she comes to nag at me or just to see her beloved son. I was living through stressful days. By the way, I'll be on a business trip for a week starting next Monday. So, I'm counting on you to handle the house. Huh? A business trip? Why are you suddenly going on a trip? There's a presentation for the system I developed. I was the main developer. Huh? Though I wasn't lying about the business trip, I was a bit excited to finally have some time to myself. Every week, I faced complaints about chores, meals, and how a wife should be from my mother-in-law. No matter how busy I am, my husband, who claims to be the head of the household, won't help with any chores. I was so sick of it that I looked forward to refreshing myself on the business trip. The presentation of the new system was nerve-wracking and more tiring than my usual work. But it was a relief not to be criticized by anyone and not to worry about anything for a week. After the trip ended and I returned home. Huh? Laura. Were you here? Well, yes. I moved in a week ago and have been living in this house. I'll take the bedroom on the second floor that you were using. So you can use the storeroom on the first floor or the unused room on the third floor. What? I haven't heard anything about this. What do you mean? The main supporter of this house has given his permission. So there's no need to get your approval. The person who pays the rent decides everything. Huh? I had to ask again, but I'm not seeing things, right? Why is my mother-in-law living in this house? I don't understand. It was stressful enough that she came to visit every week, but living together is unthinkable. Sure, my mother-in-law lives alone, and she is of a certain age. It might be too late after something happens, and perhaps my husband is worried. But it's unbelievable that she would start living together without discussing it with me first. Who does she think this house belongs to? I wanted to say. And my husband too. How dare he agree with her? I really couldn't forgive this kind of selfish behavior. Hello. When I got home, your mother was here. What do you mean we're living together? What do I mean? It's exactly as it sounds. There's nothing strange about it, right? It's strange. Why didn't you consult with me? there's no need to consult with you. I've told you many times, but I'm the one paying the rent here. You should follow my decisions, right? I was so astonished that I couldn't find the words. So? He's really saying that. Understood. Then keep saying that. He seems to forget something important, though. Does he even realize whose house we are renting from? I won't let him forget only the inconvenient things for him. I took the suitcase I had brought on a business trip and went back to my parents' house. Just like that, he let his mother live in our house without consulting with me. Don't you think that's strange? Yes. And has she always been harassing you like this? I thought I would worry you if I told you, and everyone says it's normal. So I kept quiet, but I can't take it anymore. I see. Okay, then I have an idea. My father said this and made a phone call. From that day, I started living at my parents' house. And I haven't had any contact with my husband for a week. Then came Saturday. I went to the house where my husband and mother-in-law were with my father. When we rang the doorbell, my husband, who looked like he had just woken up, came out and frowned when he saw me and my father. Here. Could you sign the divorce papers? What? Wait, what do you mean? We know all about what you and your mother have been doing. Stop playing dumb, will you? My father glared at him as he said this, and my husband seemed a bit frightened. He completely slumped his shoulders and wouldn't meet our eyes. But I continued talking to my husband. You both have been bullying me. Don't think you can get away with it? No. There's no need for a divorce. It doesn't have to come to that. So, what do you think you are? After doing whatever you want to do, you get scared when divorce is mentioned? What do you think of me? I'm not usually the type to get emotional and yell. So I think my husband was surprised by my outburst. But that's just proof of how much anger I had accumulated. We will certainly make you listen to what my daughter is saying. And from now on, you'll be paying the full rent for this house. I have no intention of giving a discount to someone who is a stranger to my daughter. What? This house will cost not $1,800 but $18,000 starting next month. Got it? I've brought the contract too, so sign it after you sign the divorce papers. When we said this, my husband seemed speechless, shocked by the figure of $18,000. But we were serious. Suddenly saying I have to pay that much, that's crazy. That's impossible. What? You think you can say it's impossible? But, because you haven't even formally signed a contract for this house, have you? Once we're divorced, you can't keep living here as if nothing happened. If you can't pay the rent for this house, then you should leave right now. We hadn't signed any contracts, so we were able to leave assertively. Of course, my husband never thought it would come to this. But it's too late for regrets now. Since it's his own doing, he should take full responsibility. We were determined to stay firm, regardless of how much my husband resisted. But then my mother-in-law, who heard the commotion, came out from behind. What's all this noise? What's going on? Long time no see. I'll get straight to the point, this house belongs to me, so please leave. I'm having my daughter divorce, and I don't intend to let strangers live here. What? Leave, what are you talking about? Don't say something so unreasonable. Who is being unreasonable here? If you want to justify your actions, feel free to do so in court. Court. When they heard the word court, both my husband and mother-in-law were shocked. This was all planned in discussion with my father. If these two made a fuss and it became unbearable, we planned to take it to court. I proposed this because talking sensibly wouldn't work with people who lack basic common sense. But, because they lack common sense, the moment they heard the word lawyer, they were quite scared. Where did that earlier bluster go? They looked at each other with complete panic in their eyes. They must be frantic. You have a job, so just move somewhere near your workplace. That's all there is to it, right? I'm saying I don't have that kind of money. No money? You must be joking. Given your salary, you should have been able to save some. Have you been spending over $1,000 a month on entertainment? Because I never thought I needed to save. Astonishing. He was working normally, and the only expense he was paying was the rent. I was the one paying for the car and all other living expenses. So I thought he would have saved a bit more. He's really messing around. So I can't get divorced, and I can't move out. That's right. Once you're married, you can't just get divorced that easily. It would leave a mark on your family database. How long are you going to stick to such old-fashioned ideas? A mark on the family database? I would divorce without hesitation rather than live with unreasonable people who only think of themselves like you too. Do you even realize what you've done? Who's really being ridiculous? Please don't make me angrier than I already am. They probably don't realize how much they've been doing to me. That's why they can casually say they don't want a divorce and ask for help because they don't have any money. As far as I'm concerned, that's none of my business. And now that I think about it, maybe my husband married me for my money. Not so much mine, but my parents, who run a company. He got to live in a big house cheaply, and in the future, I'll inherit a huge fortune from my parents. He was probably aiming for that. I wish he would stop taking me for granted. Don't forget that we have the advantage if we go to court. You have 1 week of grace to move out of this house. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'll do anything. Even kneel before you, just give me another chance. I think we can definitely make it work. There might have been some misunderstandings, but we're married. We promised to overcome anything together. That's why I'm saying we should get a divorce. Pretty words alone can't sustain a marriage. Plus, you've betrayed me, so don't think I still trust you. I will never trust you again after what you've done. As I mentioned earlier, we have a great lawyer. You're welcome to hire your own lawyer and discuss this, but without even the money to move out. I advise against incurring further expenses for your own good. What my father said makes sense. He doesn't have the money to move, let alone hire a lawyer. Even if he did hire one, it would be easy for me to divorce him and make him move out. That's it, then. I don't intend to talk to you guys anymore. With that, I went back home with my father. I had already blocked his phone number, so no calls came through. But he and my mother-in-law kept trying to contact me using emails, Messenger, and other social media messaging features. I was truly disappointed and astonished that they didn't understand what I was saying. But I ignored them completely. I've communicated what needs to be done from our side, and if they don't comply, we'll just have a lawyer handle the discussions. We have strong backing, so I wasn't worried at all. By the way, what happened after that? The deadline I set is tomorrow, so if the divorce and moving out aren't completed by then, I've already told them we'll call the lawyer. Then I got a message this evening that he has submitted the divorce papers to the city office, and that he has packed his belongings and is ready to leave the house. It seems he'll bring the keys here. I see, then, I'll handle it. You probably don't want to see their faces, right? Yes, thank you, Dad. Thanks to my father handling the key exchange, I was able to avoid seeing those two. According to some mutual acquaintances, those two seem to be living miserably now. Apparently, my mother-in-law doesn't have a job and can't sustain herself. So they initially stayed in a hotel for a few days while looking for a place to move in together. Eventually, they moved into a very cheap apartment without a bath, and their life together began. But compared to the house they used to live in, it's less than 1/100th of the quality. It seems every day is stressful, and they constantly argue. Well, but he has a job, isn't that a luxury problem? From what I've heard, he's been blowing off steam and borrowing money from his friends. Really? Is that so?
Yeah.
So he's been pretty much abandoned by his friends. How is he going to live from now on? He has no money, and he has to take care of his mother. Nobody would marry someone like that, right? I think it's better for everyone that people who don't know how to handle money at that age don't get married. Thinking about how his friends have abandoned him made me feel truly pitiful. But I believe this situation is a good chance for him to acknowledge what he has done and rehabilitate himself. By the way, after that, I found a place to live alone, and now I'm happily living there. My job is going well, and I'm in charge of a big project, which is very fulfilling. And I have a great relationship with my parents. Well, I don't know if I'll remarry. But for now, I'm enjoying my life. No matter how much money you have, ultimately, relationships are what matter. If you can establish healthy and good relationships, you can live happily even without money. I hope to continue living my life valuing the fulfillment of my work, friends, and family, without being obsessed with money.